So this particular kit does also actually come with the Botany Bay, which I have not even started yet. So I'm going to be working on this next. And so this is very simple assembly. In fact, I probably am just going to put this together and paint it in place, get it all constructed and filled and painted as one entity. I've been doing a fair bit of research on the color. It's interesting. The box, if you look at the box itself, it certainly gives you kind of a tan color, and that's clearly the color they're kind of obviously kind of promoting here. Although interestingly, the instructions themselves don't give any paint colors for the Botany Bay. The instructions don't mention it at all. However, they do in the instructions say that this is the proper color. This is the base color of the Botany Bay, which it certainly seems like a stretch to me on all of my research. While some of the pictures certainly you can see there's a bit of sort of that tan, rusty sort of red undertones for sure, but it's not a lot of this color should remain from what I can see. You know, there'd be a bit of this color, especially on these backs, and a little bit in here, but it's really going to get covered over by some tan and gray, just a gray tan, and then some rust, lots of rust and black rust kind of marks as well. I think the original model, and everything I've read, the original production model of this spacecraft was very hastily painted, and apparently for people that did see it, not a lot of detail, and it was really just a sort of a red primer with lots of black, literally black marks just painted on it, and just not a high quality paint job apparently. So anyway, I'm still doing a bit of research on that. I do want to I'm definitely leaning towards a little bit more towards the color that we see on the box cover, and maybe even slightly grayer. I also am a big fan, obviously, having grown up watching Star Trek, and having seen that space seed many times. I'm used to seeing when the sort of iconic shots of when they have it on a tractor in the ship and it's sort of towing along, looking similar color. I mean, it's slightly different, but it's not red on any of the, growing up, that was just not what it was. And so I'm a little bit torn. I mean, I understand that, for whatever reason, with the way the lighting worked and what have you, it wasn't maybe accurately reflected in what we saw on television, but yet, it's what I experienced, and so I want to capture a little bit of that as well, of what I knew to be for this vessel. So that's where I'm at with that. I'm gonna, as I say, there's no downside here to really assembling this. The only painting that's going to be really maybe slightly different color, I am going to go a little bit out of the do a little bit out of the ordinary here, in the sense I'm going to actually paint these more of a silver color. These are the solar panels, and so I am going to be putting some metallic silver in there for the solar panels, and so that's one piece that I will do. The rest of it's going to be largely, the base color with whatever weathering and other sort of tan that I'd be laying in. So I just thought I'd actually just getting the pieces out. just get after applying a little bit of glue here. Just go along some of the seams. And we don't need much with this glue. Just a touch on these. As we go, so it's really as simple as that. And then I always just take a look, just make sure everything stayed straight, which it did, and that I'm happy with all of it. It looks really good. Happy with that. Yeah, as you can see, it's I did end up filling in, doing quite a bit of the putty work I talked about. So certainly along the edges, very much along that sort of the subreef fin there piece. There was definitely a gap there. If I did fill in the gaps on these, not that I'm not going to still have, and there still may even be a little bit. It's like I did get it fairly smooth there, but it's still going to have a little bit more like what these are like, which is what I actually want. I did obviously fill in there, and the gap, which I really wanted there. So looking really good. I've also been obviously working on my Botany Bay. So as you can see, I did get the base color in there yesterday night. And then tonight I've been starting on some of the weathering. You can see where I've been experimenting with some of the kind of colors that I want there, which is really this idea of the black, dark gray, and brown. I'm really using these three guys. Black, earth brown, and dark gray. And so I've been using these guys and just kind of laying in, kind of especially paying attention on the edges and just kind of trying to come in and give some of that weathering look, and then very importantly on these guys to just kind of use a brush and soften some of that in there, that kind of thing. So just a little bit sure. I worked a lot more on the back actually so far. I was first experimenting. Also added in, you see on my solar panels, they're really aged solar panels. There is a little bit of gold in there that I added, ever so slight. That's this guy, and I did put it in there. And you can see it in the right kind of lights. But I don't want it to be standing out. I don't want it to be incredibly metallic or something. They're very old and very, very weathered and aged as well. So I don't want them to look anything more than what I've got there. I did add obviously some black around those edges and kind of even within it a little bit as well. And then the back I really added the black parts around the engines, which I think is pretty realistic to the model. So yeah, so I'll just keep working on that. I've added quite a bit on the front here. You can see I'll be adding a bit more, but kind of give that kind of rustic look that I really want. And I'll be doing the same effect here on the edges, especially darker. That idea that that's actually probably closer to its original colors, the darker brown, and that the weathering over time has lightened it, and so it lightens on the front-facing surfaces a lot more than on the back, where you get to some of the black as well. That's other kinds of space, I guess, weathering. The instructions themselves give you this color as the base color, which, they're just not the parts where I was experimenting with paints, but this color. They say that's the base color. Still can't quite get over that, but anyway. But then they instruct you to use black and black and gray, I think. What do they say there? Black and color of plastic parks is representative base color of Botany Bay. Add freehand weathering in gray and charcoal. So sort of those darker colors. So obviously I replaced out that dark orange with the sort of the lighter more tan, deck tan kind of color there. I just felt that that's a more accurate representation from the shots that were taken by the next generation. I think prop person, the guy. Anyway, there's some pictures. He at one point ended up with the original model, and he did take a few shots. And I felt this is. I'm trying to kind of reproduce that actually, those shots. So I think it's really looking close to that. I need to darken these areas up more on the original model. Those areas are quite dark, and this panel's more like what all of these have to end up looking like on those front faces. And then just some work on the front. The front's actually fairly pristine. It's got word that there's not a lot of weathering on the very nose cone, but on these edges there will be. I've started putting a little bit in here. That's going to similarly come in like that. But yeah, it's coming along. Actually, really happy with it. It's kind of the color I really wanted. I ended up mixing my own color. Kind of a mixed it. What did I end up with? In case you're wondering, I used my 20 drops or 1 mil of my earth red, Vallejo earth red, and then I added so that's a 1 mil, and then 3 mils of just white. I used my XF2, and then I used 6 drops of a chartreuse color that I have just again on my cheaper, my fairly cheap set of paints here. They're great for doing my mix my own colors. This one here, chartreuse. 6 drops of that to that mixture, and it gave me this. The green really eliminates some of the red tones. It just gets you to the right tan that I really wanted there. Anyway, that's the formula I used for that. Worked. I say pretty happy with the color. So I'll keep working on that weathering. Kind of enjoying that. I may even at some point even brush in a little bit. I have this as well. I kind of like the potential of adding just a little bit of actual rust in a couple of spots as well. So I might brush in a little bit of that as well. I have of course, rust sticks as my pencils as well, but kind of like possibly just tap in a little bit of that. There's a Botany Bay. Pretty much finished that. You can see I did carry on with quite a bit of the aging and adding the sort of black, gray, brown, and even a little bit of the rust, which I think I'd mentioned that I would be using just to give that brown just even a little bit more, definition there. I actually added just a little bit of additional silver onto these ancient aged solar panel. Really, really happy with how it turned out. I think it's very, very accurate to the pictures that we have of the model. I think it's a pretty faithful to that. In fact, I even, on the couple pictures that are very clear, the next generation prop pictures that we saw, literally putting in the black spots where we could clearly see them on those models, so that it's almost very, very realistic that way. And I think a really good match for even on the box. If we remember the box representation, I think the colors and the look, I think, came out pretty consistent there too. So overall, very, very happy. Decals. Really, really happy with the Botany Bay. I think it's pretty much exactly what I was aiming for. Couldn't be much happier. lots of different pencils went into that, as you can imagine. And then, as I said, I end up even using a little bit of the rust, but mostly the gunmetal. That's where I got some of the black, some of the, especially the darker areas. Some of these areas in here, you can see where it's a slightly different look, and on these edges in here, I did use the gunmetal here, and then the silver, of course, I used on my, which you don't really see too much, but on the right light, actually, it does kind of pop a little bit, which is kind of really what I wanted. It's just an interesting little extra piece there.